Yes, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Colin Peacock, and I'm the Regional Food Business Center Co-Director at the Alaska Food Policy Council. And we're also joined by two other staff members from Alaska Food Policy Council. We have Robbie Mixon in the chat, who's our Co-Director of this new program we're launching, the Regional Food Business Center, and she's also our Executive Director for the organization. And then Leah Moss, you can see her in the chat. She is, and she has her video on. She's our Outreach and Communications Director. And we're, of course, here to talk to Chris Dickinson, who's a key program technician with the Southern County Farm Service Agency. And he'll be talking to you about the Reimbursement Transportation Cost Payment Program, and that'll be the majority of our time together. But before we do that, I wanted to introduce the Alaska Food Policy Council and just share a bit about how we do work in the food system, why we're here today, and how this event is part of a larger program we're launching called the Regional Food Business Center. We will have 10 minutes at the end for questions, and I ask you to write your questions down for anyone and just save those for the end. But let's jump into it. So as most of you know, intimately, we live in a state where vast distances, a changing climate, complex logistics can really isolate communities and limit access to healthy and safe food. It's a challenge that in facing, we are trying to nourish and protect our communities through the work that we do. So when the Alaska Food Policy Council was formed, we wanted to envision a robust Alaska where vibrant communities flourish on the bedrock of a secure, nutritious, and safe food system. This is our vision, and we accomplish it by bringing together diverse groups of stakeholders, farmers, scientists, policymakers, and advocates. We're working together to build a resilient and equitable food system for all Alaskans. And so what do we do? Our mission is to believe that collaboration and community and connected communities are key to a thriving food system. We engage with Alaskans across the state, from farmers, fishermen, families to food banks. We gather input on challenges and opportunities. We host workshops, forums, and host online platforms like this to share knowledge, spark new ideas, and foster local networks. We also advocate. We translate your voices into policy recommendations. We research, analyze, and develop evidence-based solutions to address Alaska's unique food security issues. From local market access to sustainable farming practices, we advocate for policies that empower local producers, increase fresh food availability, and ensure a resilient food system for generations to come. We stand shoulder to shoulder with policymakers at all levels, local, state, federal, and tribal, pushing for change that nourishes our communities and respects our land. In our core, we value integrity, diversity, and community. We strive to be a trusted source of information and foster a culture of inclusion that empowers Alaskans to make informed choices about their food. We believe in learning from the past, celebrating Alaska's bounty, and ensuring a sustainable and just food system that nourishes our people and communities. And, who are we? So you can see who the Policy Council is now. We've been around since about 2012. We have a governing board in that upper photo, and they are an active board that has done incredible work, meaning we basically didn't have paid staff until this last year or so, which is a huge change for us and is a part of why we're hosting this webinar and launching the Business Center. We're going through a lot of changes, but I just want to acknowledge that most of the work the AFPC has done has been entirely staff run. And we're located across the state. The staff right now are in Homer, Anchorage, and Juneau, which is myself. And we've already covered this, but what are we really known for? What do we do? It's public events and education opportunities. Our conference that we host every other year is probably the most famous of that, but we also produce a lot of publications and do research, do food systems outreach. We have communications and network building, advocacy and policy, working groups and committees, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we're always supporting Alaskan food businesses in a variety of ways. And this is an example of just all the various reports and plans that we've been working on. There's too much to get into here, but these are what shape what we do and shape the recommendations we make. And it's through input from our community, from policymakers, from researchers, that we form these reports, and that's what we build off of every year. Very relevant to this conversation is our food system infrastructure recommendations, where transportation has its section. I know most of you will think about the challenges we face are often related to infrastructure, cold storage, transportation. Those are the main things. That's a good example that's very relevant to this discussion. And I just wanted to touch about how we get most of our work done. We have staff that work on things, but then our board members and community members, which could be you, is done through very active working groups and committees. I'm just showing a slide here, but please, if you're interested in being a part of these, go to our website, learn more about them, reach out to us if you want to participate. Really amazing work gets done in these. One of the major projects that we've developed that has informing our current work is this Food Security Action Plan. Whoopsie. And it was a multi-stakeholder plan that we created in 2022. And the goal of it was to democratically address food system challenges through inclusive participatory action, building the capacity for resiliency and sustainability in the Alaskan food system. And the actions within this have sort of outlined two major new projects that we're creating: the Regional Food Systems Partnership Project and the Alaska Food System Network. And these are really what has shaped the Regional Food Business Center that I'm about to mention. It's really the framework, and there's a lot of great recommendations in this plan. And as far as this plan going, we're already executing sort of this first year of the timeline for it, where we've hired staff, we've created a steering committee, we've done a landscape analysis with Kitchen Sink, who's in the chat, and other partners. We're starting to create a technical assistance database, which this webinar is going to be part of. We're about to launch a huge website redesign and prioritize new areas for support. So, and all of this is tied into this new USDA program, the Regional Food Business Centers. There are 12 of them across this nation, and we are part of one that is called the Islands and Remote Areas. Alaska also has the benefit of the National Intertribal Regional Food Business Center, and so both will be working in Alaska and across the region. And our region for our Regional Food Business Center is kind of interesting. Most of the Regional Food Business Centers are just a cluster of states, but ours is all the parts that didn't quite fit in anywhere else. So Alaska, Guam, American Samoa, Hawaii, the Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, Commonwealth and Marianas, that's what our business center is focused on. And it might seem like those are really different regions, but we're facing a lot of the similar challenges, especially related to transportation, effects from climate change, things like that, being at the end of the supply chain. These are our partners: the Virgin Island Good Food Coalition, Hawaii Good Food Alliance, Guam Sustainable Culture. Yeah. And this is the Regional Food Business Center's focus. So we have three main areas where we're providing support, coordination, technical assistance like this webinar, and actual funding. We have about $1.6 million to give away as subawards, they're called, to affect food security within 6 different buckets: production, aggregation, distribution, transportation, value-added production, market development, and access to finance. And we're going to be launching a lot more information about this in July, but I just wanted to give you a basic idea of who we are and why we're hosting this webinar. We have a few key partners we're working with in Alaska: CALI, the Kodiak Archipelago Leadership Institute, the Aleutian Pribilof Islands Association, APIA, EcoTrust, and Sustainable Southeast Partnership. These are sort of their leadership committee that we're forming to sort of govern how we're doing work in Alaska and doing it diversely and with equity. And thank you. That was a bit of a long introduction, but I just wanted to make sure you guys know who we are and why we're doing the work we're doing. And with that, I would like to give it up to Chris.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm going to put this fact sheet up here real quick. And so you can let me know when you see it. Hopefully it works this time. Oh,
I don't see it. Oh, there it goes.
I keep forgetting to hit the little blue share button. Okay, so my name is Chris Dickinson. I've been working with the Farm Service Agency since 2002 and working this RTCP program now for the 14th year. And if everybody can see this fact sheet, I just hit a few points on here, what the program is about and why it was established for particular reasons of the regions that Colin was just talking about, the off-road regions, where it cost quite a bit more to do business during the course of the year. And this program was created to reimburse you a percentage of the cost of doing business for the year. So over here where it's talking about, it's the reimbursement transportation cost program for geographically disadvantaged farmers and livestock producers. It's a large title. But it reimburses producers for a portion of the cost of to transport agricultural commodities or inputs used to produce an agricultural commodity. Last year, for the 2023 program year, there was $4 million for the fiscal year that went out to everybody that submitted an application. If you were eligible and submitted all your receipts, there was a $4 million pot of money that was divvied out depending on what you were eligible for. The eligible commodities for RTCP are aquaculture, feed, fiber, floriculture, horticulture, including trees, insects or products thereof, meaning things that you would make with the insects, livestock, including elk, reindeer, bison, horses, and deer. Who is eligible? Producers eligible for RTCP include geographically disadvantaged farmers and livestock producers in an insular area. This includes farmers and livestock producers from the following states and territories, such as Hawaii, Alaska, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, Marshall Islands, Republic of Palau, and the Virgin Islands of the United States. So we're covering right over the top of your region's column. Now, how eligibility works. To be eligible for RTCP, you must be a geographically disadvantaged farmer or rancher producing and marketing and transporting an agricultural commodity in an approved area. Key to that is you got to be producing and marketing. You got to be raising it and selling it to be eligible for the program. And you have to submit an application during a specified application period for each fiscal year. We don't know when that's going to be yet this year. They're thinking usually it comes around the second week of July, but they're thinking that it might be a little earlier this year. Don't have any hard evidence to back that up. It's just a little rumble. Okay. So what you also have to do, there's going to be forms that you have to fill out. You have to get your farm records established with FSA. I provided Colin with an application packet that has all the forms you would need, depending on if you're applying as an individual or as an entity. That application packet has all those forms along with instructions on how to fill them out. You can also call me at any time to help you with those forms. It's once you establish your records, the following year that you apply, it's a simple application in one form. So you'll be filling out 4 or 5 forms to get established, and then it won't be like that every year. I'll be leaving my Colin has my email address and my contact information. And also I'll repeat that at the end of my presentation, so you can give me a call when you need to. What you also have to do for the program, you got to provide proof of the cost you incurred. In other words, whether it's a shipping, there's two categories for the program. There's shipping cost, which are called actual cost, and then there's inputs. Inputs are the things that on an invoice, say you went and bought feed, and where you bought the feed includes the shipping cost in the total price. In that situation, we would use the total of the invoice. If you have an invoice where you bought feed that has a separate shipping cost on the invoice, the shipping cost will be what we would take from that invoice. So it's 2 different categories: things that have shipping and things that don't. For the jumping back to, you have to provide the amount of cost incurred for the transportation of agricultural commodity or input meaning that's got shipping included. You have to comply with the conservation wetland protection requirements on the land that you're working. Be a person or legal entity with an average adjusted gross income that does not exceed $900,000. That number is a 3-year average. So for this upcoming 24 year, they're looking at the 3-year average prior to the tax year we just finished. So we just finished 23, so it'd be the 3 years previous to that. And you can't exceed a $900,000 average adjusted gross income, or you're not eligible to apply. You have to be a citizen or legal resident of the United States. Commercial fishermen are not eligible for RTCP. You have to be planting and harvesting an agricultural commodity, or raising your cattle, or there's floriculture as well. Commercial fishermen it doesn't fall into those categories. You're just with fishing, you're just harvesting. You're not planting or at risk of a failed crop. Like I told you a minute ago, the actual rate we use is the actual shipping cost, the transportation rate. And for the program in Alaska, the reimbursement rates, if you're within, depending on what region you're in, if you're within 50 miles of anchorage, you're at a 23% reimbursement rate. Outside of 50 miles, you're at a 25% reimbursement rate. Anybody off the road system gets a little bit of bump in that, which would be a 29% reimbursement rate. Now there's for shipping cost, it's a straight out 25% for the actual rates. It's a mathematic calculation that bumps off a little bit less. So without going into that, it's a simple equation. Like, say if you submitted me $5,000 for a piece of equipment that had shipping cost included in it, and you lived outside of 50 miles of anchorage, you'd be at a 25% reimbursement rate, and that would be calculated 25% of 25%. And I don't want to get into deep in that because you're not going to understand it right now, but it's pretty simple. Here's an example of the payment calculation that you would use for a producer incurred transportation costs in Hawaii for the year totaling $15,000. The allowance for Maui County, Hawaii is 25%. So the simple math is 15,000 times 25%. That producer would get, $3,750 reimbursed on a $15,000 shipping cost. There's a payment limitation that went up this year. They bumped that up. There was a payment limitation of $8,000 per producer, and that went up slightly this year, as to where before we would calculate the submitted invoices until you reach that payment limitation. But this year calculated everything, and everybody got a little bit more money that was on the higher end. Okay. How to apply. You got to file an application for the benefits through our service center or through the Delta Junction Service Center. Applicants must file an application for benefits at the FSA Service Center that maintains the farm records for their business. I'm guessing most of the people that you deal with calling right now probably don't have farm records if they don't know about the program. So we will get once you get your forms filled out, we get your records established, and you'll be off and running. After that, it's just a repeat of an application and the AGI form that you submit. Let's see, I gave Colin some contact information for, I think, Hawaii and a couple other places. It's really in a nutshell what the program is about. It was established strictly for people that are in these insular areas. The sign up has not been announced yet. I need to talk about acceptable, your acceptable records, eligible receipts, and what you can submit for your eligible receipts. As long as you're doing business, you should be keeping records anyway of your receipts. And what you can submit, you'll be submitting your application, and then you have to submit your proof of expense. And those can come on a credit card statement, a bank statement, the actual invoice from where you purchased whatever it was, feed, seed, fertilizer. You can also use a canceled check. You can use your bank statement. And what we ask you to do is delineate out on any statement what you don't want seen. Or if you're submitting a credit card statement or a bank statement, you'll need to highlight on the statement what it is that you want credit for, and out to the right margin what it is: supply, equipment, feed, seed, fertilizer, whatever the case may be. Eligible things that you can submit for: there's feed, seed, fertilizer, supplies, equipment, fuel. For instance, if you bought a piece of equipment somewhere and you went and picked it up yourself, you could get reimbursement for the fuel that you used to go pick this equipment up, both going and coming back, and for the cost of the equipment that you purchased. So if you have say you have a greenhouse that you've got a natural gas meter attached to, you can submit your natural gas bill for your greenhouse if you're heating it that way. If you're doing that with heating oil, same thing. So any fuel that you use, both to go pick up supplies, or if you're using it on your farm and your implement, those things. It covers a wide range of things. And the best practice to follow for me is you get all your receipts, you submit them to me, and I'm the one that goes through these and determines whether it's an eligible commodity or not. And I'll let you know if there's something that's not eligible. I'll let you know what that is at the end of the year. You'll get a letter saying, we found that some of your receipts were not eligible, and if you want to know what those are, we're happy to just provide those with you. Without getting any deeper into it, that's pretty much it to start with. I don't want to go any deeper because it's more of a one-on-one situation when you're talking about forms and invoices and things like that. So I will leave Colin my email address, my phone number to reach me. But I would like to take any questions whenever the time's appropriate, Colin.
Yeah, now is a great time. If anyone wants to write in their question, they can write it in, or you could unmute yourself. Probably don't have too many people, so it's fine either way. We did have one from Robbie. She said, is mariculture, kelp and oysters, etc., eligible?
Yes. With kelp, you have to be planting the seed. You can't just be, you can't just be finding a place to harvest your kelp, and that would be following along the same lines as commercial fishermen. You got to be planting and harvesting as far as that goes.
But could you buy your kelp seed from elsewhere? Would that still be?
You could buy your kelp seed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
That's a supply. Yeah, you buy your kelp seed and then you'd be planting your kelp seed. Yes. But just to go find an area where kelp is growing and harvested off of a lease or something like that, that wouldn't be
Right.
eligible, because you're not at risk of failing crop in that situation. You know what I mean? For oyster farmers that are They're dropping it in the water, dropping the seed in the water, and they're growing it.
Right.
So,
And did you have any numbers on how many people were not using this program that would be applicable?
boy, that
No.
would be impossible to tell.
Yeah.
Every year we've got more and more applying. We try to do more extensive outreach.
Mhm.
And boy, I don't know. There's a lot, I would imagine. That's why I'm glad that Amy hooked me up with you, and we got a new group.
Yes,
And
yes, we
your
do.
your group of people, we depend heavily on word of mouth with this. There's only so much we can do outreach wise with people. We'll go anywhere, talk to anybody. But word of mouth is the best way for us, given the areas that we're covering. You know how it is.
I do. And yes, we will continue to put the word out. And also we have another question here from Kayla. And she said, apologies if you said this and I missed it, but I heard Chris talk about invoices you would have from third-party purchases. If you're delivering something yourself, for example, taking your produce to your CSA members, can you submit mileage and be reimbursed off a standard rate if you document your mileage?
We don't reimburse for mileage. We would reimburse a percentage of the fuel. Say you're taking off and you're going to make a delivery,
Hmm.
or you're going to pick up supplies, whatever the case may be. To keep it simple, you stop, fill up your tank with gas, and you pull the little receipt that comes out of the fuel pump. Or if you're using your debit card, you print out your bank statements and highlight the fuel cost on there that you used for 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 your business runs.
Okay.
Um, if you have if you're purchasing a farm truck, it has to be any equipment that you purchase, like a farm truck, or we have peony producers that live remotely that use snow machines to get, transport to get equipment in and out. But it's got to be strictly for farm use only. You can't have both personal and farm use on any thing that you submit for reimbursement.
Right. Thank you. We have another question from Jeff, and he says, if a farm program operates under the umbrella of a native village council, is that legal entity subject to the 900,000 adjusted gross income, or would it be the specific budget of Iwigig's local foods program?
Native organizations are exempt from the AGI requirement.
Okay.
So yeah, we have several native organizations that apply for the program. So, and a lot
Yeah.
of them, the bulk of what they're submitting is shipping cost. Um, and
Very
that
cool.
and that also comes into play if you got a remote native village that's submitting invoices for supplies they've flown in. That's an invoice with that broken out, because a lot of times you're going to have supplies on the plane plus 3 people sitting in there. So we're not gonna pay for flying you and your supplies out to the village. It's just gonna be what they
Right.
charged you to tote the supplies.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, a couple people in the chat. Kayla says, got it. Thanks. Jeff says, cool. Thanks. Robbie says, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, just Colin, you got my phone number,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
got my
I,
email.
mhm.
We'll spread that out. And that application, that forms packet has all those numbers in there as well.
Great. Yeah. I have sent out, posted in the chat and sent those to people, and we'll keep sending them out. Yeah. And let
Perfect.
them know they should get in touch with you. Yeah.
It's a
Well,
real simple process. Like I said, if you got problems with the forms,
mhm.
call me. We'll get you hooked up. No problem.
Okay. Cool. Is there any other questions from anyone? No? Okay, we got one. Jeff, do you have a contract for registering with the FSA?
It's not a contract. What it is, it's a simple form within that package, it's called AD
Oh, sorry, he said,
2047.
sorry, he misspoke. It said a contact, not, or I misspoke rather.
Yes, in that
Yeah,
application, in that
yeah,
forms packet that you have, Colin, there is contact information in there.
okay. Kayla also asks, she happens to be an STC member here in Iowa, and
Oh, yeah.
yep, she's curious how the state STCs set parameters for this program.
Um, the state committee, the only thing that the state committee was really involved in was the rates that we use for the state, which Alaska uses the set rates. There's, I don't know if you can see on this fact sheet that I got, is right in the middle column. There's three rates here.
Okay.
The actual rate is the transportation cost. And the state committee decided that we need to use the set rate. And the set rate is that, like I talked about earlier, the rate on invoices that you submit that don't have shipping cost on it, things you went and picked up yourself. Or, there's something, I'll keep it simple, just as that. Things that you purchase that don't have an individual shipping cost on the invoice. That's considered a set rate. Where, like it says on here, where it says set rate, reflects a percent of the total cost used to represent the transportation cost incurred. This rate will only be used if the inputs do not have an established fixed rate, or if not broken out available. So that's where the state committee got involved and established what that is. Other than that, we would have the county committee would be dealing with any kind of decisions made on an application, or say you submitted an invoice that I didn't feel was eligible, and in an appeal situation that would go to the county committee, which is at the county level, as where the state committee is the state level.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. It's fun to see how
bet.
these programs work in different states.
Yeah, any other questions for anyone? I appreciate everyone showing up and participating and asking questions. This recording will live on our website, and I think we're gonna have a lot of people that watch it later. Just because, yeah, sometimes people don't have lunch off, and we had 55 people, I think, sign up for this.
Perfect.
So yeah, we'll get the word out and we'll keep sharing it. And yeah, just thank you, Chris, so much. Thank you,
You're
everyone.
welcome. Give
Yeah.
me a call anytime, you guys.